We are back with our guests, Jason Johnson and Tim Miller. Tim, I'd like to talk to you about the Biden choices thus far. We had the same conversation the last time you were on, but the list of names has been added to. We learned today Buttigieg transportation, Jennifer Granholm energy. Tonight, Axios has a piece guessing that the Republican in the cabinet, and it's in traditional presidencies, it is traditional to have someone or try to have someone from the opposite party, that Biden is looking at a Republican perhaps for commerce. They further speculate that it might be a Meg Whitman type. What do you make of the slate you've seen thus far?
Well, two things. One, I think it's a Biden-esque slate. I think it's pretty crazy how much criticism I've seen from the left, really. The boy, does the left know how to eat their young. You never saw this in Republican administrations where you don't have enough people from this interest group or from that interest group. And that seems to be all the coverage around Biden. Biden's picked all the people I think you'd expect him to pick. He's picked a central-left cabinet, a very competent cabinet. And out of today's picks, I just want to call out Pete Buttigieg. Once again, Joe Biden is making a first. This is going to be the first gay cabinet official confirmed by the Senate. And this is massive news. I know in a lot of in urban pockets on the coasts, being gay is pretty common these days, and this doesn't seem like as big of a deal as it might have 10 years ago. But for a lot of kids in a lot of parts of this country, Pete was a huge role model, and Pete is maybe the only person that they could look to who modeled what it was like to have a gay family life and to be able to go out and leave a place like Indiana and succeed. And so I think that it's great that he's doing that. Obviously, Kamala Harris, and as I mentioned last time, Mayorkas. It's a diverse cabinet. It's a center-left cabinet. I don't know what else you think you'd get.
No, you're right. And these LGBT firsts should be correctly noted and celebrated every time the goalposts get moved in our society. So, Jason, you heard what Tim just said about the infighting, about Democrats eating their young. His words, not mine. I would never dare say anything like that. We have this from AOC today. Quote, "You have an individual appointment here, an individual appointment there. What is the overall message from the big picture in this entire cabinet put together?" Friend of mine, an elected Democrat, immediately branded this the start of purity testing, 36 days before any hands are placed on Bibles, and said to me in response, quote, "Would you perhaps prefer the Trump dear leader cabinet for 4 more years?" Jason, your answer.
Look, this is not going to be the red wedding, right, where the Democrats show up and they all kill each other and they're fighting. I don't think that's what's going to happen. What you have is a lot of jockeying for influence. Now, for example, AOC was on the climate committee for the Democratic sort of platform this year. Gina McCarthy is the climate czar. They work together. I'm pretty sure she's okay with that. I tend to think as much as it's an accomplishment for diversity, look, I've always thought that Mayor Pete sort of failed up, to be perfectly honest. I think there are transportation secretaries that you could have gotten out of Michigan, Jeanette Sadiq gone, Fonte Carver out of Cleveland. I think there's a lot more people that you could get at a local level that know a lot more about transportation than Mayor Pete. But I also think quite basically that some of these selections are not just about Biden filling his cabinet, not just about giving favors to people who may have endorsed him during the primary, but also perhaps kneecapping potential rivals for Senator Harris in 2024 or 2028. So I think all of those things are being discussed right now. But in the end, Brian, the positions that matter to most to me are Attorney General and Labor Secretary, because those are the positions that are going to be the most important in deconstructing the autocracy that Donald Trump was attempting to build and setting together a fair and more equitable labor environment for people to survive in post-COVID. Those are the positions that I think are going to have the greatest influence, and those are the positions where Joe Biden has to pick people who are going to push for serious structural change, because we can't keep going the way we've been going. And most of these picks, they're par for the course.
Man, Brian, I just have to say, my mother wishes I failed up like Mayor Pete. I mean, that guy is, if he's failing, he's really failing quite well. Won the Iowa caucus, first gay man to run for president of a major party. He seems to be doing all right to me. I don't know.
You also get a decorated military veteran and a Rhodes Scholar in the equation. Two good things to have, I would think, in any cabinet, any collection of adults these days. Guys, this has been a great and fascinating conversation. Let's do this exact same thing again. Jason Johnson, Tim Miller, two longtime friends of this broadcast. Thank you, gentlemen, both very much. Another break for us coming up from